And when Lily was born, I knew things would never be the same again. Stephen nodded, feeling a mix of admiration and guilt. You did it all by yourself. I should have been there for you, Stephen admitted, his voice soft. I wasn't completely alone, Andrew replied. Maria's parents were there for me, especially after the accident. Without them, I don't know how Lily and I would have made it. I'm really glad you had their support, Stephen said sincerely. Andrew, I know this is asking a lot, but do you think we could try again? I want to be part of your life. Part of Lily's life, if you let me. Andrew stayed quiet for a while, his eyes on Lily, who was laughing and swinging happily. It won't be easy, Stephen. A lot has changed. We've changed. I know, Stephen said, nodding slowly. But I'm ready to do whatever it takes. Why now? Andrew finally asked, turning to face him. What made you change? Stephen paused, taking a deep breath before answering. I guess I finally realized what I was missing, he said quietly, and I can't keep running from the past. I want to make things right. Honestly, I'm not really sure, Stephen said, his voice soft. Maybe it was seeing Lily, realizing how much I've missed out on, or maybe it's that I finally get it. Success, money, none of it matters if you're alone. Andrew nodded slowly, understanding exactly what Stephen meant. I can't promise anything, Andrew said after a pause, but we can try. If not for ourselves, then for Lily. Stephen felt a lump forming in his throat. Thank you, Andrew. I swear, I won't let you down this time. Just then, Lily came running toward them, her cheeks flushed from all the playing and excitement. Dad, Uncle Stephen, did you see how high I was swinging? Andrew smiled warmly, pulling her into a hug. We saw, sweetheart. You were flying. Lily turned to Stephen, her eyes sparkling with joy. Uncle Stephen, will you come visit us again? Stephen glanced at Andrew, silently asking for his approval. When Andrew gave a small nod, Stephen smiled. I'd love to, Lily. If your dad agrees, I'd love to see you both again soon, Stephen said with a smile. Yes, Lily squealed, jumping up and down. Can we go to your house next time, Uncle Stephen? Do you have a pool? I've always wanted to swim in a pool. Stephen chuckled. Yes, I have a pool, and I'd love for you to come and use it. As they walked back to Andrew's house, Stephen felt something shift inside him. The emptiness he had carried for so long was slowly being replaced by the warmth of the family he had missed out on. When it was time to say goodbye, Stephen knelt down and gave Lily a big hug. Then, after a brief pause, he turned to Andrew and hugged him too. It was a short, slightly awkward hug, but it was filled with unspoken hope. I'll call you this week, Stephen said. Maybe we can set up that pool day. Andrew nodded. We'd like that. As Stephen walked away, he turned back every now and then to wave at Lily, who waved back with excitement. He felt like he was leaving behind the lonely and empty person he had been that morning. The road to fixing things and making amends would be long and hard, but for the first time in years, Stephen Marshall felt hopeful. Back at his big house, Stephen looked at the empty rooms with a new perspective. They no longer seemed like symbols of his success, but spaces that could be filled with laughter and family moments. He went to his study and pulled out an old photo album that had been hidden in a drawer. The pictures of his childhood with Andrew took him back to a time when they were always together. He remembered summer days, playing in their parents' garden, silly arguments that always ended in laughter, and promises to always support each other. When had they lost that? When had money and success become more important than family? Stephen closed the album with a sense of resolve. He couldn't change the past, but he was determined to do everything he could to build a better future. Stephen imagined a future that included his brother and his niece, and felt a new sense of purpose. He picked up his phone, hesitated for a moment, then dialed a number he hadn't used in years. Mom? It's me, Stephen. Yes, I'm fine, he said quickly. Listen, I have something important to tell you. The next few days were a whirlwind of emotions and preparations for Stephen. After the call with his mother, which led to a long and heartfelt conversation about the past and what lay ahead, Stephen threw himself into getting his house ready for Andrew and Lily's visit. On Friday afternoon, Stephen stood nervously at the entrance of his mansion. He had hired a cleaning crew to make sure everything was spotless and had stocked the fridge with snacks and drinks he thought Lily would enjoy. As he looked around at the freshly cleaned rooms, he hoped everything would be perfect for their arrival. When the taxi arrived in front of Stephen's house, he felt his heart beat faster. Lily was the first to hop out, her eyes going wide as she took in the big house. "Wow," she exclaimed. "It's like a castle." Andrew followed, looking a bit uneasy in his jeans and casual shirt. Stephen noticed his brother had made an effort to look neat, having shaved and cleaned up for the visit. "Welcome," Stephen said, trying to sound relaxed despite his nerves. "I'm really glad you could come." "Thanks for inviting us," Andrew replied, his tone polite but slightly uncomfortable. Lily, however, was too excited to notice the tension between the adults. "Uncle Stephen, where's the pool? Can we go swimming now?" she asked eagerly. Stephen laughed, happy to see his niece so excited. "Of course, Lily. First, how about I show you around the house?" As they walked through the rooms, Stephen saw Andrew looking around with a mix of wonder and what seemed like sadness. Lily, on the other hand, was fascinated by everything she saw, especially the home theater and the huge kitchen. Her excitement made Stephen feel more at ease, knowing that this visit was starting off well. "I've never seen a house this big," Andrew said quietly as they reached Stephen's study. "Sometimes it feels too big," Stephen admitted, "especially when you're alone." There was a brief, awkward silence before Lily's excitement rescued them. "The pool, Uncle Stephen. Can we go now?" "Of course," Stephen said with a smile. "Why don't you go change first? I'll show you where the changing rooms are." As Lily and Andrew went to change, Stephen took the chance to call his assistant and cancel a meeting he had planned for that afternoon. For the first time in years, work could wait. When Stephen stepped out to the pool area, he was greeted by a heartwarming sight. Lily was happily splashing in the water, her laughter filling the air. Andrew stood at the edge, watching her with a real smile on his face. Stephen felt a deep sense of joy and contentment, realizing how much he had missed moments like these. "Come on, Uncle Stephen," Lily called out. "The water's perfect." Without hesitating, Stephen took off his shirt and jumped into the pool, excited to join Lily in her fun. Soon, Andrew decided to join in too. For a little while, it felt like the years of separation had vanished. They splashed around and played in the water until the sun started to set, casting beautiful golden and pink colors across the sky. When they finally got out of the pool, they were tired but happy. Stephen handed them soft, fluffy towels. "Are you hungry?" he asked. "I was thinking we could have a barbecue in the yard." "Yes, please," Lily shouted, her face lighting up with excitement. "Can I help?" Lily asked eagerly. "Of course," Stephen said with a grin. "Actually, I could use all the help I can get. I'm not exactly a top chef." They all laughed as they started preparing for the barbecue, enjoying each other's company and making new memories together. As they prepared the food together, Stephen felt how natural and easy it all was. Lily chatted excitedly about school and her friends, while Andrew joined in with a few comments. Stephen realized he was enjoying himself more than he had in years. Sitting around the patio table with the night sky above and the smell of freshly cooked food filling the air, Stephen felt a deep sense of belonging. "This is nice," Andrew said quietly while Lily happily ate her burger. "Thank you, Stephen." "There's no need to thank me," Stephen replied. "I'm just glad we're together." "Hi, I've missed this," Andrew said, his voice soft. "I've missed family." Stephen saw a hint of sadness on Andrew's face and nodded. "Me too." They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the sounds of the night and Lily's excited remarks about the food. "Andrew," Stephen said, gathering his courage, "I know it's soon, and we have a lot to rebuild. But I really want to be a part of your lives," Stephen said earnestly, "not just with occasional visits, but really being there for you and for Lily." Andrew looked at his brother for a long time, as if trying to gauge the sincerity in his eyes. "Are you sure? Your life is very different from ours. I don't want you to feel like you have to do this." "I don't feel obligated," Stephen said firmly. "I feel complete. For the first time in a long time, Lily, who had been listening closely, suddenly chimed in with her usual enthusiasm. "Does this mean we'll come more often, Dad? Will I get to use the pool again?" Andrew glanced from Lily to Stephen, a small smile spreading across his face. "I suppose so, honey, if your uncle is okay with it." "More than okay," Stephen said, feeling a rush of emotion. "In fact, I was thinking it would be nice if you stayed this weekend." "I have plenty of rooms," Stephen said with a hopeful smile, "and we can make lots of plans together. It would be great to have you here more often." Lily's eyes lit up with excitement, and she jumped up and down. "Really, Uncle Stephen? That sounds amazing." Andrew, after a moment of considering, gave a small nod. "All right, we'll stay." That night, as Stephen was getting ready for bed, he heard the joyful sounds of laughter coming from the room where Andrew and Lily were staying. The sounds of their happiness echoed through the once quiet halls of the mansion, filling the space with a sense of life and warmth that had been missing for so long. Stephen realized, with a deep feeling of contentment, that he no longer felt alone. The mansion, which had once represented only his professional success, was gradually transforming into a true home. It was becoming a place filled with the warmth and laughter of his family. As Stephen lay down to sleep that night, he made a silent but profound promise to himself. He vowed to do everything in his power to nurture this new sense of belonging and to be the best brother and uncle that Andrew and Lily deserved. Although he knew it would require considerable effort and dedication, he felt the genuine sense of hope and peace for the first time in years. He recognized that fully mending their relationship would be a long and potentially challenging journey, but he was ready to take it step by step. As he rested in bed, he listened to the faint echoes of his family's laughter drifting through the house, bringing him a deep sense of contentment. With a smile on his face, he imagined all the future possibilities and felt a renewed sense of optimism and anticipation. The weekend passed in a joyful whirlwind. Stephen, Andrew, and Lily made the most of their time together, engaging in a variety of fun activities. They visited the local zoo, where they marveled at the animals and enjoyed the day's adventures. Evenings were spent cozily watching movies in the home theater, and they had a blast setting up a makeshift soccer game in the mansion's expansive yard. Stephen was pleasantly surprised to find that he cherished these simple, carefree moments far more than the extravagant parties and high-profile business events he was used to. The genuine happiness and connection he felt during this weekend were priceless, reinforcing his commitment to this new chapter in his life. On Sunday afternoon, as Stephen helped Andrew and Lily pack their bags, he couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. He imagined how quiet and empty the house would seem once they were gone, missing the sounds of laughter and joy that had filled it over the weekend. "It's been such a wonderful weekend," Stephen said, trying to keep his voice cheerful and positive. "I really hope we can do this again soon." Andrew looked at his brother with a warm, genuine smile. "I'd like that too. It's been really great spending time together and catching up." Stephen watched as Andrew and Lily finished packing, feeling a blend of happiness and longing. The house had been alive with laughter and energy for these few days, and he hoped that this was just the start of many more joyful moments to come. The thought of their next visit filled him with anticipation, and he felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. "It's been surprisingly pleasant," Andrew said with a smile. "Thank you, Stephen." Lily, who was carefully packing her drawings into her backpack, looked up with wide, hopeful eyes. "Can we come back next weekend, Uncle Stephen?" Stephen laughed gently. "I'd love that, Lily, but I think it depends on your dad." They both turned to Andrew, who took a moment to think over the suggestion. "Well, we can't come every weekend," Andrew said finally, "but maybe once a month could work." Stephen's face lit up with happiness. "That sounds perfect, and maybe I could come visit you too. I'd really like to see where you live and be part of your daily life." Andrew looked a bit surprised by the idea, but then nodded slowly. "Sure, that would be nice. It would be good to have you visit us as well." As they prepared to leave, Stephen bent down to give Lily a warm hug. He felt a mixture of joy and sadness, knowing the house would soon be quiet again, but also feeling grateful for the time they had spent together. As he hugged Lily, he hoped this was just the beginning of many more shared moments and new memories with his family. "Thank you for coming, little one. You filled this house with so much joy," Stephen said warmly, hugging Lily tightly. Lily hugged him back just as tightly. Thank you, Uncle Stephen. I had so much fun. I'll always remember this weekend. Stephen then turned to his brother Andrew. There was a brief moment of hesitation before they embraced. This hug felt warmer and more genuine compared to the awkwardness of their last meeting. Take care, Andrew, Stephen said sincerely, and please don't hesitate to call me if you need anything. Anything at all. Andrew nodded, his eyes showing a mix of gratitude and emotion. I will. Thank you, brother. It means a lot. As Stephen watched the taxi drive away, he felt the combination of sadness and hope. The house seemed emptier now, but it was also filled with the promise of new possibilities and future visits. In the weeks that followed, Stephen began to make significant changes in his life. He started delegating more responsibilities at work to others so he could make sure his weekends were free. He even began leaving the office at more reasonable hours during the week, which caught his employees by surprise. They were used to him working late into the evening. One Wednesday afternoon, Stephen drove to Andrew's neighborhood. He had called earlier to confirm that it was okay for him to visit. As he parked his car in front of their modest house, he felt a mix of nerves and excitement. He hadn't been to this part of town in a long time. Lily was the first to spot him. She rushed outside, her face lighting up with joy. Uncle Stephen came. Stephen smiled broadly as he lifted her up, feeling a surge of happiness. Of course I did, Lily. I wouldn't miss this for the world. He was greeted warmly by Andrew, and as they settled in for their visit, Stephen felt a renewed sense of connection and excitement for the future. Uncle Stephen came. Lily exclaimed with joy as soon as she saw him. Stephen laughed heartily and lifted her up into a big hug. Of course I came. I promised, didn't I? As they were catching up, Andrew appeared in the doorway. He looked a bit tired, but wore a warm, genuine smile. Hello, Stephen. It's great to see you. Welcome. Stephen and Andrew exchanged friendly greetings before stepping inside. Stephen began to notice the little details around the house with a fresh perspective. The living room was cozy despite its small size. It was filled with framed family photos and colorful drawings by Lily, giving the space a homey and personal touch. The walls were adorned with cheerful art, and there were toys scattered about, adding to the lively atmosphere. In the kitchen, Stephen could smell a delicious aroma coming from the stove. The kitchen itself was modest but inviting. Andrew, slightly embarrassed, said, I hope you like stew. It's just a simple meal, but I thought it would be nice for us to share. Stephen smiled warmly and replied, It sounds wonderful. I'm really looking forward to it. It's nothing fancy, but Andrew started, looking a bit unsure. Stephen cut him off with a warm smile. It smells wonderful. Honestly, it's much better than any fancy restaurant I've been to. As they sat down for dinner, Stephen listened intently as Lily excitedly shared stories about her day at school. Her eyes sparkled as she described her favorite parts of the day, from a fun class activity to a surprise from her teacher. Andrew chimed in with comments about his workday, sharing small anecdotes that gave Stephen a glimpse into his brother's life. Stephen felt a deep sense of appreciation for the simplicity and genuine connection of the evening. Despite the financial limitations of their home, there was a warmth and love here that his grand mansion had never felt. After dinner, Lily went to her room to work on her homework. Stephen and Andrew moved to the small backyard where they sat together with cups of coffee. The evening was peaceful with the soft sounds of crickets and the gentle rustling of leaves. Andrew, Stephen said, gathering his courage, I've been thinking about how I can help. I'd like to offer some financial support. He looked at Andrew, hoping his brother would understand his sincere intention to help and be a part of their lives in a more meaningful way. Stephen began, but he could see that Andrew was visibly tense. Stephen, it's really not necessary, Andrew said firmly. We're managing just fine on our own. Relationship to be based on money. I've made that mistake before with gambling, and it didn't end well. Stephen nodded, acknowledging his brother's feelings. I understand, Andrew. I wasn't trying to push or make things awkward. I just wanted to offer because I care about you and Lily. We can find other ways to support each other without letting money get in the way. Stephen nodded, understanding his brother's point. I'm sorry if I gave the wrong impression. I didn't mean to suggest that you need money. My main goal is to be involved in your lives, to support you and be there for you in any way I can. Andrew looked at Stephen with a serious expression. You are already a part of our lives, Stephen. What we truly need is not financial help, but your presence and your time. That's much more valuable to us than any amount of money. Stephen felt a lump form in his throat as he heard these heartfelt words. Thank you, Andrew. That means a lot to me. I'm really touched. They sat in silence for a few moments, the soothing sound of Lily humming while she worked on her homework filling the quiet. It was a peaceful and comforting sound that made Stephen feel more connected to the moment. After a short pause, Andrew spoke again, breaking the silence. He began, his voice thoughtful, if you really want to help, there is something specific you could do for us. Stephen's interest was piqued. I'm eager to help in any way I can. Just tell me what you need, and I'll do my best to assist. The community center in our neighborhood is facing some tough times, Andrew said. They need more volunteers and possibly some donations for their after-school programs. I was thinking that with your connections and resources, you might be able to make a big difference. Stephen's face brightened with enthusiasm. I'd love to help with that. How about we go together tomorrow? We can find out exactly what they need and how I can assist. Andrew's face also lit up with a smile. That sounds like a great idea. I'm sure they would appreciate your support. As Stephen prepared to leave that evening, he felt a profound sense of change. It wasn't just about his relationship with Andrew and Lily. He could sense a shift within himself. For the first time in many years, he felt like he had found a purpose beyond making money and closing business deals. The prospect of helping the community center and being involved in something meaningful filled him with a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment. I'll be back tomorrow, Stephen promised, giving Lily a heartfelt hug and then embracing Andrew warmly. We have a community center to help. As Stephen drove back to his mansion, he felt a surprising sense of detachment from the grand house. It no longer felt like his true home. He realized that his real home was with his family, in that cozy little house filled with love and laughter. He was determined to be part of their lives, no matter what it took. The future, which had once seemed lonely and empty, now looked vibrant and full of potential. Stephen smiled to himself, eagerly anticipating what the next day would bring. The following morning greeted him with a bright, clear sky, as if the weather itself was celebrating new beginnings. Stephen woke up early, brimming with excitement that he hadn't felt in years. Today wasn't just another workday, it was a chance to engage in something truly meaningful. He arrived at Andrew's house just as Andrew was sending Lily off to school. Lily rushed over to Stephen, throwing her arms around his legs and looking up at him with a beaming smile before climbing onto the school bus. Good morning, Andrew said, holding a steaming cup of coffee. Ready to visit the community center? Stephen nodded with enthusiasm. Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can make a difference.